Greetings, everyone. This is Professor TJ Wilkins, and in today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to render your fashion illustration. This is going to be a 7 to 8 part tutorial. We started off in Adobe, we ended off in our previous tutorial in Adobe Illustrator. And for this tutorial, I will be toggling back and forth between Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Photoshop. So I'm going to go back to Adobe Illustrator. And in the previous tutorial, we ended up with 4 different colorways uh, based upon the color swatches that was created from the mood board. So now that we have these different colorways and different prints, I want to transfer these prints into Adobe Photoshop so that I can use them to render my fashion illustration. This is Photoshop. So I'm going to go back to Illustrator, and I have a simple print right here in my swatches called, it's called New Pattern Swatch, and I'm going to drag it out. So if I want to bring this into Illustrator, into Photoshop, all I need to do is drag it out of swatches, click on it, hit Edit, Copy, or Command Copy, go back to Adobe Photoshop, hit File, New. Now, when you select an item in Photoshop, when you open a new document, the new document automatically becomes the size of the item that you selected. And this is very helpful when you're transferring swatches from Adobe Illustrator to Adobe Photoshop. So I'm going to change the inches, but I'm going to keep the width and height the same. I am going to change the resolution to 300 and click OK. I'm going to click Create. You can then go to Edit, Paste, or Command V. I'm going to keep it at pixels and click OK. And now I have my star print. I can easily turn that into fill for me to add into my fashion illustration. So to turn it into a fill, all I need to do is edit. In fact, I am going to select the layer. There we go. Select the layer, then hit Command A. Then you can go to Edit, Define Pattern, and I'm going to call this Star Pattern. Click OK. So if I want to see what this pattern looks like, I can easily open a new document, File, New, and I am going to I'm going to select Print and just click OK. Click Create. And then Command A to select my image. I'm also going to unlock my layer. Then come down to this cookie-like icon, click on that, click Pattern, and Fill. So here's my print. Okay, and if I wanted to, I can go back to my sketches, and I don't delete this layer right here, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Create a new layer. And if I was to just quickly select, I'm using my lasso tool. I'm just testing out my print, so I'm not too particular on how I'm selecting right now. Then go to the cookie icon, click on Pattern, And there you go. There's my pattern. You can easily change the size of this by adjusting your scale. And there you go. Cancel. And to deselect, Command D. So that's how you can easily transfer a pattern swatch from Adobe Illustrator to Adobe Photoshop. However, there's more to this though. I'm going to go back to Adobe Photoshop. And prior to doing that, I'm just I'm going to save this. I like this little print. Star swatch. And save. Okay. This document though, I don't need it. Actually, no, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it. Close this off for now. All right. So I'm going back to Photoshop, to Illustrator. And I don't need this swatch anymore, so I'm going to delete that. I'm going to my third artboard. And these were the swatches that we created in the previous video. If I was to, I'm going to drag the blue one, drag it onto my screen, I get this huge swatch. Now, unlike the previous swatch that I took out, which is simple and easy, if I was to just take this, copy it, and drop it into Photoshop to create a fill, it's going to look horrible. So in fact, you know what? I'm going to do it. Watch what happens. So edit copy. And I'm going to go back to Photoshop and File, New. Change it to 300, my resolution to 300. Click Create, Command V. Pixels, yes, I'm going to keep it at pixels. And then I'm going to select the layer, Command A to select everything, edit, define pattern. And I'm going to call this testing. Click OK. So if I was to go back to my third file and click on the cookie, hit Command A, click on the cookie, pattern, and this is what my pattern looks like. That is not what I want. It looks kind of cool though. It looks kind of cool, but that's not what I'm going for. That's not the pattern we created in Illustrator. So let's cancel that. We're not going to use that. What we need to do to prevent this from happening is we need to find the repeat pattern within the swatch that we took out, and then use that to create the fill in Photoshop. And this is how you do that. First, go back to Illustrator. I'm going to delete this because I don't need this. And where's the repeat pattern? Really easy. First, I'm going to select this. And you can see the repeat pattern right here on the outside. So here's the box that outlines the repeat patterns right here. Here are the sides. Here's the bottom. And here is the other side. The repeat pattern is not this box on the inside because if you remember in the previous tutorial, we shifted the boxes so that we can have more of a scattered type of print. So this outside box is where the reprint is now. A repeat, I should say, is. Okay. So if I want to be able to select this repeat, I have to do it in such a way where I crop out these areas on the outside and I select the exact repeat. To do that, the first thing you want to do is to make sure that your rulers are showing. If it's not, hit Command R and your rulers would appear. Or you could go to View, Rulers, and you'll be able to Command R, you'll be able to see your rulers. Okay? All right. So I want to use my rulers to outline the repeat, and I am then going to crop this weird looking image. To do that, first you want to go to View, Outline. When this is in outline mode, you can see all of the lines that are around the image. And like I stated before, this area right here is the repeat for the swatch box I need to create. So now that I have my rulers out, I can just take those and snap those guides into place into the areas that I need to have outlined. And you want to make sure this is exact. There we go. Okay, so I just use my rulers to outline this area, and now I'm going to switch back to the previous view. To do that, just hit Command Y, and there you go. And as you can see, these are my guides on the outside of the box. This area right here is the area that I need to crop so that I can get the swatch that I need to transfer it into Photoshop. So before I can even crop this, I need to expand my image. Because if I don't expand my image before cropping, I'm going to lose some of the quality in my artwork. Let me show you what I'm talking about. First, to crop your image, you want to go to Window and then click on Pathfinder. There's Pathfinder. Then, if I want to crop this, the first thing I'm going to do, of course, is to make sure that my default fill, that my fill and my stroke is empty. I'm then clicking on the rectangular tool, and I'm just going to zoom in a bit, and I'm going to create a box right within this shape right here using my guidelines. Then, and make sure that your box is on top of the image, not behind it or not between this and another layer. Make sure that your box is drawn right on top of the image. If you're not sure, go ahead and create another layer on top, and then on top of your swatch layer, and then draw your box there just to be sure. But your box needs to be on top of your image. Then I'm going to hit the selection tool or V, select everything, and then if I was to click onto the crop box, look what happens. The quality of my work looks horrible, right? So to prevent that from happening, you need to expand your artwork. And when you expand your artwork, it separates the components of your artwork so that it's each art is its own separate entity. For example, the stroke and fill will be a separate component by itself. So what I'm going to do now is go back because this looks a hot mess. I don't like it at all. Okay, and go back again. And I'm going to select, first of all, yes, my guides are good. Okay, great. I'm going to select everything and then go to Object, Expand. Make sure your fill and stroke is selected and click OK. All right. So now I can go ahead and create a bounding box. Once again, you want to make sure that this bounding box is on top of your image. So using my guides, I am going to create a bounding box. In fact, let me zoom in a little bit because I'm not too happy with what I'm seeing here. I don't think I select, yes, I need to select this so that it is. There we go. That is right on top of the guides that I created. You don't want extra bits and pieces hanging out from your artwork. It's not a good look. So now that I have that, I'm going to select my guides and delete them. I don't need them anymore. And I'm going to select everything and then hit the crop tool. And voila, I have a perfect swatch that I can transfer into Adobe Photoshop. So let's do that. I'm going to select this, edit, copy, go back to Photoshop, opening a new file, File, New. And once again, like I said, when you select an item in Adobe Illustrator, when you open a new file in Photoshop, that file automatically becomes the size of the item that you selected. So I'm not changing this. I'm gonna just change it to inches. I prefer working in inches, but for the resolution, it has to be 300 or more. Don't keep it at 72. That's gonna make the quality of your print look really bad. So I'm gonna click Create, and then Command V. Keep it at pixels. Click OK. So this is my new artwork. This is my print. Okay, so now that I've transferred this into Photoshop, I am seeing some things that I do not like, so I am going to fix it. For example, these edges right here, maybe it was how I selected it. You have to be careful how you select it. And if you come in closer, you can see some of the lines from Illustrator. So that's okay. This is really easy to fix. All I have to do now is just make sure I'm in the correct layer. I'm going to select my clone stamp tool, and you can change the size of the tool by hitting the bracket key. If you hit the right bracket key, it makes it bigger, and the left, it makes it smaller. So I'm going to hold down the Option key to select the area, and then just use that to fix up whatever issues that I don't like. You want to make sure that you select the area, a source area to choose color from. If I was to select on the pink, guess what happens? This area becomes pink. I don't want that. So always make sure that you're selecting from the source area that you want your color to come from. And Option, I'm just going to go in and just fix this little spot right here. You may or may not have to do this depending upon the quality of the swatch that you transferred over to Photoshop. But I'm doing this just in case if you were to have this issue, you'll know how to fix it. Just gonna quickly, oops, don't like that. And I don't like what's happening down here, so let's fix that. Oops. So I'm almost done with this. I'm just gonna fix this area right here. And if you want to keep your pattern the same, you can, but this is a point where you can actually change this up to something else if you wanted to. But I'm going to keep the swatch the same. I'm not going to change anything around. Just fix it up so that it looks a little bit better. I want to make this print a little bit more vibrant, so I'm going to hit Command U and increase the saturation a little bit. Yeah, make it a little bit more vibrant. Yeah, that's too vibrant. Click OK. All right, so I'm happy with my swatch. Now I can select it, Command A, go to Edit, Define Pattern. I'm going to call this Blue Island Paradise. Click OK. And if I want to see what this print looks like, I'm just going to go to one of my previous files and select it. It's already selected, but then click on, if it wasn't selected, you can just go hit Command A, and it's going to select everything. And then I am going to click on the little cookie right here, Pattern, and there you go. There's my print. Okay, the exact print from Illustrator. So I'm going to go ahead and just transfer my other prints using the same methods that I use for this print. And then I'll see you in the next video.